From the pages of MikeHuckabee.com, your one-stop shop for all my columns, hot takes on all the news, and daily Bible verses, let's take another look back at the week that was. And you know, you can get it all delivered to your email inbox twice a day, and it's always absolutely free. All you got to do is sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. A fake news bonanza this week. An example after example of media-manufactured stories and narratives that need to be fact-checked. I mean, really fact-checked. We're going to check them right here, right now. First up, how about the claim that January 6th was a real insurrection, an attack on our country worse than Pearl Harbor, 9/11, and the Civil War combined? Tuesday, a federal judge ordered prosecutors to release some of the video footage from that so-called insurrection at the Capitol. There's a reason that prosecutors didn't want you to see it. Some insurrection you got there. I've seen more chaotic scenes at a Target on Black Friday. Now, to be clear, there is more footage, and yes, some people were violent and should be dealt with to the full extent of the law. As I have said since January 6, the illegal actions of some storming the Capitol, breaking windows, barging through barricades, and assaulting police officers, it's not harmless protest. That's criminal, and it is without excuse. But this video footage is just one more nail in the coffin of the claim that January 6 was a serious insurrection attempt. Prosecutors claim they didn't want the public to see that video, and thousands of hours of footage from other cameras because it could help bad actors plan some future assault inside the Capitol complex. A federal judge said that argument was too speculative and that the public had a strong interest in seeing videos that formed the basis for a recent plea deal, according to BuzzFeed News. BuzzFeed goes on to report, and I quote, "A Tennessee man took a deal with prosecutors and pleaded guilty on August 19th to one misdemeanor count of illegally parading, demonstrating, or picketing in the Capitol. He admitted to entering the building through a broken door and walking around." Now, if you were to believe MSNBC, CNN, any number of other outlets maintaining fake news sludge into the American populace, you'd probably think that guy's a terrorist. But the government didn't charge him with terrorism. They charged him and others with misdemeanors for parading around the Capitol. Hey folks, terrorists don't parade. They blow up stuff. Unfortunately, the government has been treating some of these paraders as terrorists, keeping some people in solitary confinement for months on end. I'd call that an abuse of the American justice system, maybe even an assault on democracy. The left needs a constant stream of fake news to make their opponents look dangerous and, of course, racist, because otherwise Americans might focus on real news and realize these people should never be trusted with any public office above the rank of assistant to the assistant dog catcher. Here's our next example as the situation at the southern border continues to deteriorate. The fake news media decided to tell us that this week the Border Patrol agents were whipping Haitian migrants. My tweet on this? Horse riders, real horse riders, are laughing out loud that Biden's people know so little about horses and reins. The real horsing around is Joe's team pretending to control the border. South end of a northbound horse. Administration officials describe the images as horrific, and DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has now suspended those border agents. Newsmax reports, and I quote, "The agents were adhering to their training and attempting to keep the migrants away from horses so they did not get injured." End quote. Mayorkas, by the way, is the same guy who's been telling us that the border is secure. Oh, right. But leftists, who know even less about horses than they do about math, are continuing their outrage fest even after the whipping migrants narrative was debunked all the way to the bunkhouse. Leave it to Congresswoman Maxine Waters to have the craziest take on the story. not only accusing the agents of using non-existent whips on migrants, because they didn't have them, but, quote, what we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery, end quote. That's about as offensive as downplaying the Holocaust by claiming that your political opponent is literally Hitler, which is something the left does regularly. Even the president and vice president, desperate for any distraction from their cascade of tragic disasters, pointed fingers at the Border Patrol cavalry, with Biden calling the false accusation disturbing, Jen Psaki declaring it obviously horrific, and Kamala Harris saying it's horrible and is demanding a thorough investigation. Vice President Harris, if you really want a thorough investigation of what's happening at the border, might I suggest that you start by actually going there? After all, weren't you placed in charge of that by President Biden? And Kamala Harris has been harder to find than Brian Laundrie, wanted in the Gabby Petito murder. Well, here's some more from the Twitterverse as Donald Trump has filed a $100 million lawsuit against the New York Times over illegally obtained tax returns and records. My response, ultimate justice would be that Trump wins the lawsuit and renames the paper the Trump Times. Finally, people ask me almost daily if I think our country will survive the leftist-driven all-out assault on our freedoms and the virtues that made America great and made us the envy of the world. Now, I still have hope, but right now, we're on a fast track to nowhere good, and I'm believing more and more that the country's only hope is the divine intervention of God Himself in the form of a deep-to-the-bone spiritual awakening. So will our country survive? Well, only if God helps us. So I say again, God help us. Until next time, these have been the facts of the matter.
Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, then subscribe, and hit the notification bell below. Now, if you didn't like it, you ought to find a Ben Shapiro video to detox you with more facts.